Every new month begins with a new page, not demanding to be filled, just quietly waiting for me to show up. November's theme is awe and wonder, and this time I'm not beginning with a list or a plan, I'm beginning with an empty heart. Not a broken one, not a lonely one, just an open space waiting to be discovered. You may have noticed that healing rarely starts with big insights. It usually begins with a pause. A small, almost invisible space where something new can breathe. So, as I open my November signature, I'm thinking of this space not as something to be filled, but as something to be protected. A quiet invitation to let wonder find its way in. Before I start, I'm taking the double page out of my journal. I love that this traveler's notebook setup lets me move my pages around. It gives me room to play without worrying about getting it right. I can put my notebook to the side and just focus on the part I'm working with. When I look at the page, I realize we are trained to fill things, aren't we? Empty time, empty rooms, even empty feelings. But awe doesn't live in the full parts. It lives in the in-between or even in the empty spaces. When I sit with clients who feel lost or stuck, we often talk about the fear of emptiness. That if we stop doing, sadness or other difficult feelings will swallow us whole. Yet again and again, we discover that when we dare to pause, what rises isn't always pain. Sometimes it's relief, sometimes it's wonder. So I'm starting with a plain piece of paper, folding it in half and sketching on one side of it half of the heart. Nothing fancy, just a guide. This will be my template for the space I leave open on the page. A small reminder that not everything needs to be filled to feel complete. Here I'm reaching for my big box of scraps. Nothing curated, just a jumble of texture, colors and forgotten corners of other projects. This box always reminds me that inspiration doesn't live in new supplies, it hides in leftovers. So, I don't know yet what papers will speak to me today. But that's part of the wonder, the quiet conversation between what I have planned and what the materials decide. I notice the feelings in my fingers and the sound of the paper tearing. These little sensory anchors are so calming for me. They pull my body gently into the here and now and allow me to feel safe and contained. And while I am thinking of containment, working with my clients in therapy, safety often comes from establishing clear boundaries. And today, I decide that these scraps of paper can form the gentle outline that keeps my heart open. Over the years, I have realized that most people don't come to therapy looking for answers. They come actually for space. A place where they can lay things down for a while without being told to fix or explain them. This page feels a little like that, an open heart space for awe and wonder, held together by paper and glue. I'm not quite sure how to build the outline yet, so I start experimenting. I glue these torn paper strips directly onto my paper heart, one line at a time. It's slow but really satisfying, the kind of repetitive movement that slows me down and my breathing gets deeper and my thinking is quietening. So once the glue is dry, I cut the heart out carefully and begin placing the striped pieces onto my page, like a puzzle, each one finding its spot around the empty center. I like watching the heart take shape in front of my eyes without being filled in. So, leaving the space open reminds me of the listening spaces we create for others and for ourselves. We don't always need to rush in with advice or explanation. Sometimes we just need to stay present long enough for things to calm down. In neuroscience terms, that kind of pause helps the nervous system to settle. It's how the body learns that it's safe again. But in everyday human terms, it's simply kindness. The kindness of waiting a little longer before reacting, of listening instead of solving, of letting something be unfinished without calling it broken. From my free November printable kit, I'm cutting out this little pocket. The design already has such a calm feeling, soft colors, quiet texture, so I take my time cutting along the white printing edges and then cutting the top wavy line that looks like torn paper. Fussy cutting like this always slows me down in a good way. It's the kind of focus that needs enough attention from me to quieten all the thoughts in my mind. My hands find their own pace, following the curve of the scissors, trimming the tiny corners until it feels just right. Holding it in my hand, the pocket feels almost like a small chapter in a story, as if the page itself has asked for another layer, like an extra space to keep something close or something hidden. Instead of glue, I'm using double-sided tape for this step. I tear off thin strips and press them carefully along the edges, leaving the top open. There's something very grounding about the precision of it. The quiet sound of the tape releasing, the small satisfaction when it sticks just right. It's one of those tiny mindful moments that reminds me I'm here, that my hands are still can make something steady. I think every journal needs a few spaces like this. Pockets to hold the fragments we are not ready to share but can't quite throw away. Sometimes those scraps of paper and the memories they carry just need time. A soft place to rest before we know what they actually really mean. So I let this pocket settle into its spot, ready to hold a few small stories of its own. But before I fill the pocket, I want to add a few words to the page, the ones that have been sitting quietly in the background of this whole process. Awe and wonder. Awe for me is that feeling when we realize we are part of something bigger than our own plans, when life reminds us that control was never the point. Awe asks us to live with questions we can't yet answer, as creatives, as parents, as people finding our way. The heart's empty space on this page isn't a void, it's an openness to surprise. That's where awe begins. And then there's wonder, its quieter companion. Where awe lifts my gaze outward, wonder turns it inward. It's what happens when I slow down enough to notice what's already here. My torn edges, the warmth of light on my paper, and the sound when I smooth it down. Wonder doesn't need to be rare or spectacular. It lives in the ordinary moments that still manage to move us. In both therapy and crafting, that's what helps us stay gentle, choosing curiosity over criticism and noticing over fixing. So, as I go around with my Distress Oxide ink here around the words of awe and wonder and put them down on paper, I like how they sit side by side. One expensive, one intimate. Together they feel like a small truth about healing. We grow not by knowing more, but by actually noticing more. So I press the little bits and pieces down and smooth the edges here, letting the words settle into place. A quiet reminder to keep looking up in awe and leaning in with wonder. Before I finish this page, I want to bring a little light to it, just enough to catch the edges. I'm using gold watercolor to trace around the heart, letting the brush just follow its uneven line. It's not about decoration, it's more like honoring the space I choose to keep open. There's something so symbolic about outlining emptiness in gold, a way of saying this is really precious. I love how the light catches the edges. There's this tiny shimmer just for seconds and then it fades again. It's such a small thing, but somehow it changes how the whole page feels to me. And at the end, I'm adding a few gold splatters across the page. I think you can never have enough gold sparkles, small sparks of movement, a gentle reminder that even stillness has energy in it. I'm tucking in the other half of my pocket and a couple of little mushroom images. It feels like the perfect symbol for November. Mushrooms grow in darkness and decay, yet they give back life. They are nature's reminder that beauty can rise from what breaks down. And into the pocket also goes the small paper heart, the piece that holds the shape of the space. What was absent before now becomes something I can hold. It's such a tender metaphor how what we set aside can return transformed. So, looking at this page now, the empty heart feels peaceful, not lonely. The pocket is full. I can gently push the page back. As you remind from the beginning, I have the elastic band, so I can just push it back in here. So, this month, instead of cramming my planner with tasks, I'm going to look for moments that widen me, not stretch me thinner, but wider, like the sky after a rain. So, if you are creating alongside me, maybe leave a heart-shaped space on your page too. Don't decide yet what belongs there. Let it stay open, like a window to possibility. Sometimes all begins right there, in the courage to leave a little room. Thank you for sharing this gentle moment with me. I'd love to hear from you in the comments what kind of wonder you are hoping to make space for this month. And if you are new here, welcome. This channel is where activity and creativity meets calm and rest, where we make meaning with our hands and find peace in the process. So, if that's something you enjoy, have a look at the next video.